I missed out on the screening yesterday. I'm going to cut out this part.
Oh, shamelessly, she said we have to cut out this part. Huh? Have you ever been to jail? It's not a very pleasant experience. Not a very pleasant experience.
She'll be jailed?
100%. For lies, subterfuge, dereliction of duty, a lack of shame. Lack of shame will get her 10 years. Actually, nowadays it might get you an award.
Oh my God.
I love it.
See, look at your I'm destroyed look.
So hi everyone, thank you so much for tuning into yet another episode of Spill the Beans here on CNN News 18 with me, Sakshi Singh, Litoriya. I'm not going to talk too much today for the film that I'm going to be interviewing the cast and director for, because the tagline itself says that sometimes the quietest can be the deadliest. And I have the star cast here. I have Aparshakti Khurana, Rahul Bose, Ishwak Singh, director Atul Sabharwal joining us here on the studios. Thank you so much for speaking to CNN News 18.
What a good energy in the studio. Love it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Atul sir, directly starting with you. I want to understand the movie through your lens, through the directorial perspective. Why did you choose this topic? Do you, because of the other projects that you have done in the past, I do sense that you have some attachment with the 90s era as well.
Could be. That's my childhood and teen, and those years are usually not so easy to forget. And if you're in a field which allows you to express, that's the reservoir you draw from. So it could be right. I mean, maybe I am drawn to that.
Apar, how was it for you to have learned the sign language and that too be not so fluent with it, because you are the interpreter and not the one who actually uses it in your everyday life?
I think it was one of the most beautiful journeys on a film set for me, especially coming after, you know, Jubilee and Stree 2, and then, you know, doing this. एक ही साल में ऐसी 3 फिल्में करने को मिल गई. It's you know, एक dream है एक actor के लिए. And from sign language to the you know, bromance between Pushkin and Ashok, and the, you know, the evil scares, you know, from Sondhi. From Sondhi. So yeah, of course Rahul sir is playing Sondhi, and he's Ashok, I'm Pushkin, and I think ये जो एक triangle बना है वो writing में ही इतना correct था triangle that beyond a point आपको beat, you know, workshops पे ही मिलनी शुरू हो जाती है, और by the time you reach set, I think it's very easy to get into the flow.
Rahul sir, if I could ask you, from the movies like Chameli, Shaurya, Pyar Ke Side Effects, Dil Dhadakne Do, I can go on and on and on.
Please
What
do, I'm
struck
not
you?
stopping.
He's like that, by the way.
हाँ, तारीफ इनको तारीफ सुनना बहुत अच्छा लगता है.
Like I said, you have not repeated the genre as far as I have, you know, analyzed your career graph. What actually, you know, drew you towards Berlin? Why did you get on board on this project?
Be thankful. पहले तो it was मेरे लिए बहुत मुश्किल था क्योंकि ये 90s में set है, and these are all 90s people, but I was born after that.
Gen Z.
Yeah,
So a Gen Z person, तो I had to go back and do research, like what the hell happened, like what was that, like, you know, so मैंने करना पड़ा. But aside from a very skilled director, written with great clarity, excellent co-actors, excellent role, apart from all of these things, करीबन 15 साल पहले मैंने फैसला कर लिया था कि मैं किसी भी फिल्म में काम नहीं करूंगा ऐसे शख्स के साथ जो अच्छे इंसान ना आए. मैंने किया है पहले और मज़ा नहीं आया. एक तरफा आप सोचते हो कि कर लेते हैं यार, झेल लेते हैं, फिल्म विल बी वेरी गुड फॉर माई करियर. ऐसा कुछ होता नहीं है, यू नो, ऐसा मतलब देयर इज नथिंग ट्रांसफॉर्मेटिव हैपन्स. तो अगर आपकी जो जर्नी है 52 फिल्म करने के बाद, इफ़ योर जर्नी इज़ नॉट रिवॉर्डिंग, देन नथिंग इज़ वर्थ इट. तो करीबन 15 साल पहले मैंने फिक्स किया कि मैं आई एम गोना वर्क विद पीपल हु आर गुड, एंड आई कैन से विदाउट अ शैडो ऑफ डाउट the experience on Berlin, like Bulbul, which I did 4-5 years ago.
Yeah.
People were wonderful. And these guys, and Atul I can't reach out to because my arms are not that long, but you know,
कानून के हाथ नहीं है.
you know, मजा आया. Good people, great talent, fantastic clarity from the director. So it was, and this enthusiasm is not faked. Although this is our 16th or 17th interview in the last 2 days.
फिर तो पक्का ही सच बोल रहे होंगे कि अगर 16वीं बार भी उस conviction से निकल रही है.
And everybody is saying the same thing again and again. And yet there is a sense of happiness.
Yeah.
Because this is why you do what you love. That at a moment like this, you can actually look back and say, the journey the journey itself was worth it.
All the check boxes get ticked off, you know, it's a passion
Ishwak
project.
को award मिला है इसके
Yes.
लिए. लेकिन I don't think it's any sweeter for him to be here today if he hadn't got the award. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Exactly. It's that's one kind of validation and happiness. But I think what we share right now in this newsroom and, you know, in your studio, that is something which is, that's the biggest happiness. That we are still, you know, we got into it. We didn't really know each other. And, but now we've come on the other side holding hands, happy, proud of what we've
And that's
done.
bonhomie is pretty evident because the kind of relationship that I can see and I can sense from afar, because I have met a couple of you for the first time. So it's very, very evident, and it's very sweet also in the studio, since we are talking about a thriller, but the mood is quite.
कहाँ पे थे आप? क्यों नहीं मिले पहले?
Gosh. But anyways, Ishwak, the most challenging part about the film is learning the sign language. I can understand that you are somebody who was not, known to this kind of language before. How much time did it take you? And how much practice did you do to, appear as fluent as possible in this particular role?
That's what you said. That was something that was a kind of a brief that I understood after an interaction with Atul sir, that to do this, I think he had this faith that I'll kind of get into the script, dig my, sink my teeth into it and get the nectar out of it, express what needs to be done, deliver the goods. But what I think collectively we all were really concerned about was, he told me that early on, because I wanted to jump, sink my teeth into it. He's like, work on the sign language, just be very good with it. So it was a long drawn process. I mean, I took the long road. मैं बाकी चीज़ें भी shoot कर रहा था, तो I would take out even a day in a week, to catch up on a class. And there was that gradual thing. By the time I think we got into our serious workshops, it had been a couple of months. So I had the basics in me, and that which really, really helped me, because it's all, your biggest tool has been taken away from you, which is your voice.
Definitely.
And now I didn't,
because he's not very good looking, so
that's a backhanded compliment.
it is. I'm glad you
The
know.
most good-looking guy in the room today has got that compliment.
मुझे वो उस time I think the biggest thing for me was that you do not have to feel this as or see it as a handicap, but be so good with sign that it becomes my go-to language when I'm on set, that I want to sign. For that, the thing is that you need to empathize with the character. I think all of that sort of fell in place.
Atul sir, coming back to you and trying to understand the kind of filmography that you had in mind with regards to, getting the setup of 90s, also making them play the role of a mute and deaf person, an interpreter, somebody who is later on the movie starts dominating someone. What was the idea in the mind? How did the movie actually flow on the sets?
How did these things come about? It's quintessential relationship between a director who's trying to tell a story, an editor who's holding his hand, and a studio boss who's trying to mess with it. That was the basic emotions, since I understand them, having worked in the industry. That was the play. And if you see the film as and when you watch it, you'll also see that a line that Apar says to Rahul Bose, that who do you think you are that gives you the right to mess with other people's stories? You can say stories, you can say narrative, and a lot of people are changing narrative for a lot of other people in the present, whether it's history, where they came from. So in a popular consciousness also, the powers that be, they try to change the narrative so that something can, one person can look more dominant or superior to the other. So it was.
And how did that happen between you two? Because initially, like, you have been called in as an interpreter, so initially you have to take all the commands and orders, but it's looking quite interesting that धीरे-धीरे फिर वो आपका collar पकड़ के पूछ रहे कि तू काम कर किसके लिए रहा है? and then it changes to, you know, a toxic kind of a relationship
You're
between
faking
you
it
two.
quite well for somebody who hasn't seen the film.
All right, so I missed out on the screening yesterday. I'm going to cut out this part from the
No,
interview.
But it's a compliment.
But I have read
That's a
the
compliment.
and I have talked to
No, but have
Apar
you seen
before.
how shamelessly she said we have to cut out this part? Huh? There should
She's
be a,
seen that line in the trailer.
have you,
Yeah, and I've analyzed the trailer pretty well. तो
ट्रेलर में सब
have you been to
Up,
jail?
up.
Have you ever been to jail? It's not a very pleasant
Please,
experience.
Bhagwan, yeah.
Not a very pleasant
She'll be
experience. 100%.
for
Lies, subterfuge, dereliction of duty.
Dereliction of duty.
Yeah, it's a duty to watch a film. A lack of shame. Lack of shame will get her 10 years. Actually, nowadays it might get you an award
Oh
also.
my god.
I love it. You know, I love the sarcastic sense of humor की lack of shame के लिए आज तक आजकल award
Actually, look at
मिल
your
जाता है.
I'm destroyed look. It's
Yeah.
working.
और ये मैं आपके
It's
लिए नहीं
working. You know,
Atul sir, please consider me for your next movie. Maybe
Yes,
I can
definitely.
join.
Start learning the sign language.
Oh God.
आप
Okay.
जरा
आगे
shattered
से-
हो यहाँ पे.
आगे से hosting sign language में होनी चाहिए तो शायद बर्लिन 2 यही करेंगी.
Your question was,
Yes.
but you didn't finish. I interrupted
Yeah.
you.
No, I had finished. I just wanted to ask, how did it transpire between you two, from
So-
you being called in from some other place, taking instructions, and then, you know?
Yeah. I think first of all, the kind of humble upbringing and background Pushkin comes from, वो पहले तो इसी बात से असमंजस में है कि why has he called me? मतलब बुलाया क्यों यहाँ पे? मुझे confused है वो इस चीज़ को लेकर. And the moment, you know, somebody as powerful as Mr. Sondhi starts briefing me on what to do, he's already, you know, getting shivers through his bones. तो वो अपने आप पहला स्टांस ही ऐसा है कि वो गिव एंड टेक ये रहेगा ऐसा कि इसकी शुरू में हमेशा ही यू नो हालत ख़राब रहेगी. बट हैविंग सेड दैट, सूनर लेटर, जैसे आपने ट्रेलर की बात करी, ऑफ कोर्स देयर आर अ फ्यू सिचुएशंस इन द फिल्म वेयर मुझे लगता है कि मुझे कुछ और भी जानना है आपसे, एंड ये रिफ्रेन करते हैं उससे. सो वहाँ की जो फ्रिक्शन है वो और भी ज़्यादा बेटर निकल के आई है. सबसे ज़्यादा बेस्ट निकल के आया है जिस तरीके की ये आंखें मुझ पे डालते हैं इन द इन्वेस्टिगेशन रूम, जब दूसरे रूम में बैठे हुए हैं. आई थिंक इट्स वेरी, वो देखने के बाद ज़्यादा खतरनाक लगा. अदरवाइज आई एम वेरी फॉन्ड ऑफ हिम एज अ ह्यूमन बीइंग. द मोमेंट आई सॉ द फिल्म आई वाज लाइक, यार ये मुझे तो ये इंसान बहुत पसंद है, इसकी आंखें मुझे इतनी चुभ क्यों रही हैं.
You said I'm very fond of him as a human being. She is looking very doubtful. I think we'll increase the jail sentence. But having said, it's in the writing
Yeah.
that जो बंदा आता है like a scared rabbit, you can push somebody only so far.
Definitely.
You know, उसके बाद when it interferes with things that are important to them, whether it's your child or whether it's your film, they'll push back. तो ये जो एक quality है film में, आप, it's in the writing, as I said, but there is also a lot of space Atul has given in the script for non-verbal, for us to just to fill those spaces, and those spaces, and there is a moment in the film where Apar's character begins to change, and you can see it in his eyes. He can't direct that; he can only ask for it. You know, you can see that in his eyes. There is a moment, in many moments in your performance,
Yeah.
where the shift,
Of-
which is the to and fro, and his almost oscillates in 3 passages of time.
It's
You
fantastic.
can see those shifts
Yes.
happening in the character. The only person actually who doesn't shift is Sondhi. Sondhi stays, correct me if I'm wrong, Atul, he stays completely in that zone for the entire movie, because for him it's about survival. These guys, you can actually see that shift. So your question about it applies equally to Ishwak also. It's in the writing, and within the writing, it's to cast actors who can work in the silences. And I think it's always been my favorite. In a movie, you should be watching it. You should not be listening to it. You know, you should not be working in the kitchen and making dinner and letting the movie play in the background.
Yeah.
That you can do with a radio play, or you can do even with a television series, a soap. You know, but you should not be able to do it when you're watching a movie. And that's the beauty of many movies and the beauty of Berlin. You've got to watch it because it lies in the silences.
Beautiful.
It's like, you know, the different kinds of, when you read a book, it's like the good old traditional novels that are kind of verbose, and there's a lot of writing. When you read something like Kava, which is very succinct, and there's brevity, minimalistic, you always feel like, you know, every line has packs up a punch, and in between lines, when you move from one line to another, an entire story has been told. You know,
Great
there's
poetry
this-
does that also.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes you to many places.
So I think it's that's the quality of the writing that Berlin has. It's
Enough,
got that.
Atul? Have we
नहीं
earned
यार,
our
मैं
bonus?
तो अभी शुरू तो करो
वो कह रहे हैं अभी तो शुरू भी नहीं हुई है.
But I would also want to know something funny that might have happened since the movie is thriller, it's about espionage. But if anything funny, I can already see. आपको पता चल ही रहा होगा कि हम यहाँ पे कितनी मस्ती कर रहे हैं. But और jokes चल रहे हैं. But
Which you're going to
anything
cut
funny
out.
that might have happened on the set.
On the set.
Cut. On the set, yes. Because a lot of directors are very strict about the mood of the film. कि ना अगर ये serious movie है तो please यहाँ पे हंसी मजाक मत करो, mood kill हो जाता है.
By chance कई बार माहौल serious हो जाता था only because of the characters, but otherwise I think Atul sir is one of the most easygoing and very eased out. You
Very
know,
organic.
yeah.
Things just fall in place. And it's again like a trickle down effect. You know, the director kind of how because he's at the helm of things. It was a very chilled out environment. So if someone wanted to have a laugh, he wasn't like reprimanded for it or given the short end of the stick.
तो हुआ ऐसा कि retake लेने पड़े हंसी
एक आदमी
वाली?
पिटता होता था और एक आदमी पीट रहा होता था. अब आप खुद हिसाब लगा लो यहाँ कौन पिट रहा होता था
मुझे
और
एक
कौन
याद है.
पीट रहा होता था.
Actually, in 52 films, I've never answered this question because I'm saying acting is fun for me anyway. So where's the maza which you guys want? But there is one moment. You remember it? When Apar and I were sitting opposite each other in this very tense moment, and I was giving him a look, and before you called cut, I screamed at him.
Oh,
You remember that part?
Huh? I was so petrified.
It was just a moment where
I was so petrified.
you're holding the pause, holding the moment. I'm looking at him like this, and suddenly, before the camera could cut, I went, yeah! And Appa, you said, I hope you have it. Now you have it.
I'm sure.
So
Okay.
मैं बहुत डर गया.
So whenever anybody comes to him and says, "You're so gorgeous," we are so women mostly, we are so attractive. You're so attractive. You're so sexy. I just look at this. Like, oh, okay, sorry, wrong number, and they vanish.
Okay, last but not the least, since I began with the director, I have to close it with the director only. There's this discussion going on. It's about a controversy, a latest one, and the government is now trying to plan a panel to control the content on OTT platforms as well under the ministry. As a movie maker, how much valid is that according to you? Should there be a restriction? Should there be a control over the content which is being made on the OTT platforms nowadays?
I wrote an article long ago. The headline of that was censorship should be abolished. It was in the context of Urta Punjab, which was the controversy going on before that. And many years before that, when I was new in Bombay, I had done one interview for a magazine called Gentleman. I was the journalist and Anurag Kashyap was being interviewed, whose film Panch was banned. The headline of that was censorship should be abolished. So I hope that answers your question.
Lovely. So that was the amazing, heartwarming chat that I had with the cast of Berlinia. Do stay tuned to Z5 for all the details. You have to watch the movie also. Do you have any last message to give out to our viewers about watching the movie?
Yeah, 13th of September, the movie comes out on Z5 and it's something we are extremely proud of.
By then she'll be in jail, so she won't be able to see it.
For 12 years, ladies and gentlemen, by the way.
And the most important fact, they're all three born on the same day, 18th November.
18th November.
Oh
all
my
Can you believe it?
God, no.
18th November.
Those are that's the biggest takeaway from yesterday's interview. We didn't know. We only knew about Apar and Ishwak.
But the only significant date that everyone should be thinking of right now is
It's 13th September.
But
Not
I
18
still doubt
November.
whether
हमारे birthdays को
Rahul
भूल
ji
जाइए.
has his birthday. I have doubt on you.
Can you
Sach
please-
बताओ आप.
That is the most
25 साल के लिए अंदर जा रही हूँ guys, by the way.
with
See you
your
after
line,
25
I
years.
have doubt on you. I'm going to use this line.
And
have doubt on
you know the way you wanted to end? Is this the way you want to end this? Are you
I'm
sure?
going for 25 years. I don't know.
100% you have a job as a school teacher after this. 100%.
Oh wow. ठीक है, मैं तो 25 साल के लिए जेल जा रही हूँ, but उसके बाद देखते हैं क्या होता है. That's a wrap. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you so much, yaar.
Spill the Beans on CNN News 18.